The opinions expressed in the following programs are those of the participants and do not necessarily reflect those of Rogers nor Rogers TV.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Talk Politics. Our guest this week is Uxbridge Mayor Dave Barton, fresh off, I guess, another election period, but not the campaign trail.
Yes, so I was acclaimed, which is great news, and most of my council's back, which is also great news.
So what was it like not having to run and being able to sit back as an acclaimed mayor and watch it all unfold?
So a couple different thoughts on that. One is, it was nice to just continue to do the job. You know, it's a busy place. We've had a very busy term, and we were working. My deputy mayor and I were both acclaimed. We were working pretty much every day, just keeping up with the work that needs to be done in Uxbridge. You know, I'm the CEO of the corporation. There's a lot of things to do. But there's other times when you're watching campaigns where you're like, people are campaigning on things that aren't our responsibility, or, you know, a number of other things. I did bite my tongue several times and try to remain quiet and stay out of the way as people were campaigning, because I didn't want to influence the outcome.
Right. So I'm just thinking, when you do run and you are the incumbent mayor, there's still day-to-day business that has to be done on top of the campaigning, correct?
Yeah, like when I look back, it would have been hard to fit in enough time to visit every door within the municipality, you know, to run a marketing campaign, to run a digital campaign, etc. I don't know how I could have done it all. So it was really nice to be able to take a breath, just do the job. And it was a little less busy because we didn't have the day-to-day council meetings that we would have both locally and the region.
And it wasn't just you, it was you and Willie Pop too. So, yeah, you know, double the hands. Yeah,
again, so Willie and I spent a lot of time with our CAO, you know, being strategic about, you know, the work we were doing, you know, throughout the summer to prepare for the fall, as well as, you know, finishing off some of the projects that needed to be done in-house here.
So I want to ask you, as always, we talk about voter turnout after an election. Voter turnout this time for Uxbridge was just under 40%, which is incredibly high compared to other municipalities, but not as much as the previous election. Were you encouraged by the voter turnout this time?
We were concerned that the voter turnout might have been lower. So to us, without a mayor race and without one of our wards having a race, we were happy to see it at 40. Obviously, we'd like to always see it, you know, at 100%. We know that's not a possibility. We were still the highest voter turnout in the region of Durham. We were higher than the average across the province, but we want to get it above 50% again. My first election was 52.6.
Which is unheard of, right?
Yeah, which is unheard of. So that was my first election, and then my mayor race was I think 50.3 or something, just over 50%. So to see it dip below 40 is a problem, but it's one that I think if we have a complete election with no acclamations, I think we would have seen it above 50.
I mean, we talk about this every election too. What do you think it's going to take to engage more people to get out there and to have their say and to cast that ballot?
I think it's going to take people paying attention and caring what happens. I think there's a couple different reasons. One is, if they like the status quo, they don't feel they need to vote. If they feel their voice doesn't matter, they don't feel the need to vote. And if they don't know the players, they don't know who they need to vote for. So when I think back of my time before politics, because I didn't pay much attention, you know, before I decided to run, it was fairly, I just wanted to find a really interesting way to give back, and that's how I ended up here. But again, I didn't know the issues. I spoke to candidates if they came to the door. I always voted, but it was always a bit of a scramble to say, okay, how can I do 4 months worth of research in a couple days and make sure I'm making an informed choice? And I'm a guy who's interested. So it is tough. The other piece, though, if we were doing a survey on any issue, and you're hearing from 40% of the residents, it's decent survey results. So I think we're still making the right choices on candidates. Obviously, we want everyone to exercise their right to vote. We're coming up on our Remembrance Day here very, very soon. Probably by the time this airs, it might be after. But
it will be after, yeah.
It will be after. That's why I'm not wearing my poppy. But but this is a right that people have fought and died for. We need to take it more seriously, and we need everyone involved. I'd love to see the voter age drop down to 14, because I think 14-year-olds make informed decisions maybe better than 40-year-olds at times.
Really? Why do you say that?
I think it gets them interested in politics sooner. They will talk amongst themselves. They will have healthy debate on politics. I think that would be a wise decision, because again, when I look at my 13-year-old, nearly 14-year-old, her decisions are as valid as mine, certainly as valid as most voters. And I think it would get people more interested in voting long-term. I've sat through some conversations on this, and if you get people voting at 18, they're often lifelong voters. If they don't vote at 18, they often don't vote until they're 35 and more settled.
Really?
So it kind of gets that middle gap if you get them early.
Right. Do you think, when we compare Canadian elections to like American elections, they go on forever, their whole process. Do you think we need either a longer election period or a longer voting period to encourage more people to get in to the group?
Because we're mail-in ballots here in Uxbridge, our voter period is kind of 2.5 weeks. So it's a pretty long time, which is probably why we have great voter turnout. I don't think the campaign should be any longer than municipal campaigns are. You're almost a 6-month campaign. Yeah. Right, which I think is too long. I think if you shorten it to 3 more condensed months, it might be better. But I know our federal and provincial campaigns are pretty quick. They drop the writ, and it seems like 3 weeks later we're voting. It's probably close. Right. Yeah.
You and actually the town of Uxbridge are very, I guess, pro social media. You use it, and you use it well. Do you think that's a good way of at least reaching out to the youth vote to try and engage them a little more?
I think, again, I'm not up to date on socials the way some of our youth are. Again, they're using programs that I'm not. I have a TikTok account that I don't quite understand.
But you have one and you use it.
Again, well, I have one and I have used it. We'll say that. Okay. But what I really like about social media is I can reach out directly. Video is often the best, but I can reach out directly and speak to my residents and more at 11:30 at night because of something that's happening at that moment. You think of COVID. I probably did 50 videos talking about vaccination numbers, COVID numbers, just to give updates so people knew what was going on. And you can't easily do that through traditional media, especially within a population of 22,000. It's just, traditional media just isn't fast enough. So, so that's what I like about socials. What I don't like about socials is it never stops. So for a mayor who's trying to be active on socials, it runs 365 days a year, and it seems to be the most vicious on, Saturday mornings of long weekends, where I'm trying to get a couple days away with family, and socials blow up and they expect comments. So again, it's pro. I wouldn't judge anyone for not doing it. I know many politicians around the region of Durham are not active. I campaigned on it early, and I I'm living with the pros and cons of that every day.
We have about just 3 minutes before we have to take a break, but I want to ask you about your new council. You have 5 familiar faces, 2 new faces. How are you feeling about this new council, its makeup, and what do the new members bring to this group?
So I love that we have diverse voices around the table. We don't all think the same way. We have a couple new voices that come from places that we don't have represented on our current council. And I think this could be the best council we've ever seen in the township of Uxbridge. We all want to row sort of in the same direction, but when we're doing it, I think we're going to have healthy debate. It's exactly what I hope for. That everybody ran a positive campaign. Everyone wanted to see Uxbridge, their vision of Uxbridge, succeed. And I'm looking forward to the direction that this council could take us.
You said that you're all kind of, headed to the same goal. What would that be ultimately? What do you think everybody is hoping to achieve?
So everybody on our new council believes in the downtown. Everybody wants to see growth in the right areas. I think it's the healthy debate will be based around what does that look like? What does that feel like? And how fast does that happen? And then we will also bring different voices from different residents that we don't have contact with. Gord Shreve, who was elected up in the north, he has a different group of people that he's in contact with than I am. And I think it'll be nice to hear their voices through him. And the same for Zed Pickering, who lives in downtown Uxbridge and has a whole different group of people that he talks to than I do. So it's a very welcome change.
Okay, and on that, I'm going to stop you there. We are in conversation this week with Uxbridge Mayor Dave Barton. Don't go away. We'll be back after this.
This program is brought to you by Ignite TV. Now you're in command. Visit Rogers.com for more details.
Bipolar disorder.
Substance addiction. Bulimia. OCD. Want to swap?
1 in 2, a flip of a coin. That's the same chance we'll experience a mental illness by the time we're 40. $1 a day can help change those odds.
Okay, everybody stay very still.
Watch all new episodes of Hudson and Rex, Sundays.
So what do you do exactly?
I'm a detective.
I'm a forensicist.
I'm sort of like a cyber detective.
The bark plus the bite equals one great night. Hudson and Rex, all new, Sundays 8/7 Central on City TV or stream on City TV Plus, the app, or citytv.com.
Hi, I'm Jennifer.
And I'm Allison. Coming up on the next parenting show, we're talking about food issues in the family. Whether that's a picky eater or somebody who loves junk food, we're going to give you all kinds of tips and advice. That's only on Rogers TV.
This is Rogers TV.
And welcome back to Talk Politics. Our guest this week is Uxbridge Mayor Dave Barton. Let's take a look at your to-do list for the next 4 years. What would number 1 be on that list?
So the number one, certainly in the residents' eyes and my eyes and sort of everyone, but it's not our full responsibility. It is the hospital, long-term care, campus of care. So we have an aging hospital. We've been working throughout the last 4 years with our incredible MPP, Peter Bethlenfalvy, with the Premier, with the Minister of Health, on getting that new facility built. We've been going through those steps of approval, and it's moving definitely in the right direction. We just need to get that across the finish line, get shovels in the ground, and get that thing built. So that's my number one priority, is facilitating that and making sure that we do everything we can to get that going and going quickly, and encouraging the province and Oak Valley Health, which is our current hospital, to get that done. So that's the most exciting thing happening in Uxbridge from my perspective.
Now, while it's not a municipal responsibility, that falls under the provincial jurisdiction, does the municipality have to come up with money for that project?
So there's a significant amount of funding that has to come from the community. It comes from the community in a number of different ways. Sometimes that's the municipality steps up, sometimes the upper tier steps up, but also residents have to step up with a fundraising campaign. So that is active as we speak, but they're focusing on they're focusing on just a number of people to start off with.
Okay, let's also talk about the downtown center and the core. So much work was done in your first term, but it's still not complete. There's still lots going on. So
last term we did all the work to set us up for success. So started, if we rewind 4 years, we had the largest construction project that we'd ever seen stalled 4 years ago because of land that we didn't own to complete a construction project. The last council made some tough decisions, acquired the land, got that construction project done through the pandemic, and we're done. We also, in parallel, listened to about 2,000 different voices, business owners, tourists, and residents, on what they thought the downtown should look and feel like. We developed a plan, and now the fun part begins. Now it's all about making that plan, all those voices, into reality. So it's about developing the property that's owned by the municipality, encouraging landowners to follow that same vision with their properties, and get more people living and working in downtown Uxbridge.
So when it's all done, what is that vision? What's it going to look like?
So without maps and stuff, it's a little bit complicated, but with the township owns property in around the culvert north of Brock Street.
Right.
Above the culvert, the plan is to have a pedestrian walkway on both sides, again, properties that we own. There will be commercial on one level on the east side, on 2 levels on the west side, on 2 different road frontages. And what we want to see is patios, retail, public spaces that will encourage people to come downtown, both tourists and locals, to support local businesses that aren't there yet. In parallel with that, we want to see some higher density residential, both apartments and condos, in that whole area, so that when someone moves out of their house in Uxbridge, they can buy one of those places or rent one of those places that are accessible. And then when they need to go buy a book, they're going to go to Blue Heron. They're going to walk downstairs to a local coffee shop. And if they want some entertainment, they're going to go watch live music on an outdoor patio. That's the vision. And again, we need more affordable and we just need more accessible housing. And that's the spot where I believe we should grow. And the vast majority of those 2,000 people that gave us advice agree with me.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because when you think people who have lived there for most of their lives and they have a huge home, and there comes time, as you said, to downsizing, they still love their home community. They don't want to go anywhere else.
Yeah, and we hear it on both sides. We hear people that don't need their 3 and 4 bedroom house anymore, but want to stay in the community. And there's no accessible bungalows that they don't have to deal with stairs. There
Right.
isn't that type of housing stock available. This is a way that they can live right downtown and keep the same group of friends, the same places of worship, etc.
Mhm.
And it also the young people. We hear that the kids want to come back to Uxbridge, but there's nothing to buy. There's nothing that they can afford to live in. And this is one more step closer to getting that. We have an affordability problem in Uxbridge, but I think a lot of it is based on the lack of any housing. We're growing single digit where most people throughout Durham Region and throughout the GTA are growing, in much higher single digits.
Right. So what else is on your to-do list, Mayor Dave?
So we are the trail capital of Canada. So we want more people coming into our trail systems. We created a trail sustainability fund where the trail users pay a little bit so that we can really develop those trails. Just basic things like washrooms and winter maintenance and additional parking lots and all those types of things. It's hard for a small municipality with a very limited budget to build that stuff out. But we've been working with our partners at the Region of Durham, Lake Simcoe Conservation Authority, and TRCA on developing this plan to get some of these things built. And we have about $45,000 in that fund ready to go towards projects that was paid for by the users to make the trail systems that they love better. So this is one big one. I'm a trail guy. My spare time, you'll often see me either hiking or biking. And we really want to live up to the name of the trail capital of Canada. Really, really positive things on that front.
Well, certainly throughout the pandemic, Uxbridge was put on a lot of people's maps for the trails. You saw a huge, influx of people who were looking for something healthy to do outdoors, discover your trail system.
Yeah. And there were some businesses that were created around that. So with the new people, we now have the Trail Hub, which is on the old Skyloft property. We have Slabtown Cider, which is very close, almost backing onto the trail systems. And these businesses were created because of the number of people that were coming here. So it's a really fun step forward. And then to make it sustainable, I'm someone who strongly believes in user fees, that if we all pay a little bit, we can make something pretty incredible. And this fits right into that model.
I have to ask you, of course, as if the pandemic wasn't enough for Uxbridge to deal with, you had the tornado rip through it this past year. Where are we at with repairs and making everybody's properties whole again?
So we're beginning to make progress. So very quickly, they kind of sealed things up with tarps and with tarps, some old shingles, but the work really wasn't done early on. They were just sort of sealing it up. If you drive through Uxbridge today, you will see roofers on roofs, you'll see trusses being put in, you'll see new plywood being put up. But unfortunately, you will also see that final decisions have been made on some of those properties that they've decided can't be repaired. Mm-hmm. So probably by the time this airs, the Trinity United Church, which is the church where my parents got married, where I went to Sunday school, where my grandfather's funeral was, is going to have to come down. So this beautiful, the largest seating capacity building in the municipality was damaged beyond repair, or certainly beyond the ability for that church to finance the repair. The numbers were between $10 and $20 million to fix it. And we all know right now to get anyone in to work on these things and stuff. And they didn't have the financing to take that kind of risk to try and get it fixed. So they're going a different route. They're saving what they can, and they see the same need that we do, which is more affordable housing. And they're going to become more of a community hub with housing, community services, plus a much smaller sanctuary that better fits the needs of their congregation. But it's so sad to see it go, Deborah. I think of sitting during my grandfather's funeral at the back of that building with the piper, et cetera, and knowing that that can't happen for my grandkids, right? I don't have grandkids, just, you know. But again,
Yeah, you're a little young for that yet, Dave.
I'm a little young for that. Again, it's that legacy will be gone, and that facility will be missed. So
That is so sad, but very uplifting the way that they have chosen to move forward and bring some positives out of really just a tragic situation.
Yeah, and no question. And you know, we spoke right after the tornado, you and I, and you know, you think of the kids' tree forts that are gone, the trees that are gone, the damage that was done to housing. You know, I think of a house right now that had, the people bought beautiful backyard, fully treed, that was just completely devastated. And they lost all that. Plus, it hit the lowest income areas in Uxbridge. So we lost our high density housing, or a lot of it, and it's very slow to get rebuilt. We're probably still 5 or 6 months away from people moving back in.
Okay, we only have about a minute left, but I want to look back on your previous 4 years. What are you most proud of?
I'm proud of how we dealt with adversity. We were dealt some pretty tough situations. We got through it, and every one of these situations, we just get stronger and stronger, and we're prepared for what the world brings us while we concentrate on the important issues that affect my residents in the township of Uxbridge.
That says a lot also about Uxbridge residents and how they band together and work together.
Again, I have the best job in the world because of them, right? It's so easy to represent Uxbridge because every day some volunteer or some person is doing the right thing. It's fantastic.
Okay. Uxbridge Mayor Dave Barton, such a pleasure as always to speak with you. Thanks for joining us again.
Thank you so much. All the best.
And thanks to our viewers for letting us in your homes. Until next time, I'm Debra Hutchison. Bye for now.
Call the Rogers TV Viewer Response Line. Email us or connect with us on social media.
Ani, I'm Carolyn King, and I'm a member of the Mississaugas of the Credit First Nation and the creator of the Moccasin Identifier. Philip Cote, an artist in Toronto here, took and redrew real moccasins. We're starting over with the children. The idea is that they would research whose land their school is built on, near, or what treaty area they're in. And the educational kit that we have has all that information in there. And the children just, love it. My dream is that this province will be covered with moccasin identifiers within the next decade, and they will forever know whose land they're on. That's the goal. Educate and awareness with a nice, simple little program called the Moccasin Identifier.
With clubs, leagues, and courts in every province and territory across Canada,